Yes, I do. I'm surprised for the first time you got a picture of Epstein and Trump. I've never seen it.
First time.
Yeah, I've been on your panels many times, but this is the first time I've seen like this. What is that about?
It's always the
Yeah,
background. What are you
I've
talking
always
about?
had
Now,
Jeffrey
this is
Epstein
the
and Trump.
first time I'm ever seeing something like that. I've seen it in other panels, but not yours.
Okay, why do you support Trump? Take it away.
So basically, I'm not happy with the WAR situation and influence from Iran. I mean, excuse me, Israel.
Iran.
Well, no, I said the influence from
Israel,
Israel.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not happy with that. But other than that, I think he's doing a fantastic job
Okay,
regarding
what is he doing that's going fantastic? Like how's hell?
um, what his administration. I'm going to say, but he gets the credit for that. Look what Janine Pearl's doing in D.C., cleaning up D.C., getting rid of all the crime and all the lawlessness.
But what is Trump doing to get like clean up crime? Like what is he doing?
Well, I'm just saying his administration. Let me just rephrase that. I'm sorry.
Okay, what is his administration is doing for it?
So look at Janine Pearl, the U.S. attorney there in D.C. She's correcting the law enforcement there that's been not doing a great job with regards to getting the crime out of the city and getting rid of the bad guys. And also, she's now instituted a policy on, arresting the young people, which I don't
Okay, so
condone.
crime in DC and crime in general in the United States of America has been on a decline since 2023. So we're just going to see those trends of crime declining or crime rates declining since 2023, year over year. Right, so that's just going to be the same trend that we're seeing. So if you could tell me like how they're doing it and specifically to decrease crime even further, then feel free to tell me. But other than that, we're
Yeah,
just going
I
to see
mean,
the
I don't
same
know
trends.
specifically the targeted operations because I don't have that data in front of me, but
Sure.
I do know she is doing an awesome job, especially for the first time ever that DC is now cleaned up. And I guess you can admit to that.
Like I said, crime has been on a decline since 2023. So we're just going to be seeing the same trends. Like if you're referencing like the National Guard being sent to cities or
No, I'm
DC, well,
specifically talking about DC, the nation's capital, where
okay, like yeah, like
Janine
I said
Pearl
multiple
had to go
times,
in.
sure, but like I said, crime has been on a decline since 2023 in DC. So it wasn't like it wasn't a place that was filled with crime. It was on a decline since 2023. So this narrative that Donald Trump wanted to push that DC was this crime-filled city, that it was the worst city in the entire world, that wasn't true because it's been on a decline since 2023.
Yeah,
And
I
that's what
mean,
the statistics show.
that's what the statistics shows by whom? By what source you looking at?
But by like FBI data reports, by crime, reports.
Yeah, because I traveled to DC a few times, and it's pretty bad. It's where you can't even go into a bodega, for example, and without people begging for change or that kind of thing.
That's
So,
every major city. I'm sorry to tell
Okay,
you, that's just every
begging for
major city.
change is not a crime.
well,
What?
I'm just
Yeah.
saying it's you can't have that in a
That's
district
completely different.
of Columbia. I
Okay, so
wouldn't
then
even.
what is the Trump administration done for like homelessness? What housing policy do they have?
Well, that's the problem. That's up to the state local officials to do that.
So you're saying the Trump admin has no housing policy?
He has a housing and urban development secretary, but I don't know
What's the
anything
policy?
about it. I don't know. I really don't get into
Because
that.
he doesn't have any housing policy. Thank you for the heart me.
Well, I'm sure that his
Harris had a
secretary
housing
had.
policy.
Mhm.
Harris had a housing policy, and we know Trump didn't, right? Because he didn't say anything. He's been saying that he's gonna fix healthcare, fix the housing market, fix immigration. Guess what? None of those are fixed. He doesn't have a policy for any of those.
Well, it's not him. You're saying him, but that's what he got that team for. The team, they're the one that's.
Yeah,
All
his
right, but his
DUI
team's not
hire
doing anything.
his DUI hires aren't doing anything. Already
Also, on top,
four cabinet officials have been fired or resigned. Kash Patel or Pete Hegseth are next.
also on top of that, it would also be his fault because he hired people who also don't have
Exactly.
plans to fix this. He hired incompetent people or DEI hires.
DUI hires.
DUI hires.
Yeah. So it is his fault, quite literally. Either A, because he doesn't have a plan as president of the United States, or B, because he hires people that are incompetent.
And don't have plans either. So it's literally just negligence of the country and the
Yes.
people of it. Doesn't matter if you're homeless, don't matter if you're rich, if you're middle class, he's not helping the country whatsoever.
Absolutely.
But that
Plus,
picture,
if you care about crime, you shouldn't support Trump.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out why you have that picture in the background. Like,
Because
Yeah,
we're friends
because
with Jeffrey Epstein.
these two people are best friends. That's why.
It has been heavily documented in the 3 million page documents that were released by his Federal Bureau of Investigations. They have concluded that even he has had major connections to Epstein during this time.
Before we get into like the Epstein stuff, you said you care about crime. You shouldn't support Trump. Let's just finish off the conversation about crime. He is a violent criminal, right? He violates the American value, i.e., the Constitution, which is the law of the land, the supreme law of the land. So if you care about crime, how do you expect a convicted violent criminal to fix crime?
why
That doesn't make any sense.
Why would you say he's a convicted violent? Like,
Yeah, because he's a convicted felon, right? 34 felonies. And the reason why I said he's a violent convicted felon is because he raped Jean Carroll and sexually exploited women and children, which makes him violent.
It's and before you say he didn't do it, 2 separate courts in 2 years found him liable, along with 2 separate juries.
Yep.
Right, but remember I told you this before. That's a civil. You guys got to understand what's
All right, he still did it. That's the thing.
Sure,
They
hold on.
concluded. A minimum of 18 people concluded that with all the evidence, he did it.
And then
Doesn't matter if it's civil or not. 18 people altogether with different ideologies, with different mindsets, with different genders, different races, everything, all concluded that he did this with the evidence that they were provided.
And then if you're saying it's a civil court, not a criminal court, what is the reasonable doubt in the case that leads you to believe that Jean Carroll was not raped, right? Because in order for it to be a criminal court, it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. But real quickly, if you're ever on YouTube, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe. As you guys are starting to come up in, check out the link in the description of the YouTube video. Make sure whenever you click subscribe, click on the notification, click on all, as well as over here on TikTok, show some love by following, as well as following Gavin, as well as checking out the description, the link tree in the bio. You can find my threads, all my social medias. I'm everywhere, as well as my Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. But yeah, you have to prove that it's beyond that is there is reasonable doubt, right? Because like I said, in order for it to be a criminal case, it's beyond a reasonable doubt. So what is the reasonable doubt that Donald Trump didn't rape Jean Carroll?
I mean, again, I don't have the paperwork and all the case details in front of me, but she could have brought this up back in 2016 when he first, if this was supposed to be a political hitman stunt, she could have brought this back in 2016. Why wait now to that case, what, 2023? Was it not?
No, it was going on since 2016. It only went to trial.
When she wrote the book, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not reasonable doubt. So from what I'm hearing now, you don't have any reasonable doubt that leads you to believe that Donald Trump did rape Jean Carroll, right? You don't have any reasonable doubt.
Oh, I don't have anything. No, I was not there, and I don't think you have any reason to believe that either. Other than
Okay,
it is beyond. I do have beyond a reasonable. I know it's beyond a reasonable doubt because of all the evidence presented in the case and because of his past characters. That leads me to believe that it's beyond a reasonable doubt. So therefore, I can provide beyond a reasonable doubt, and you can't provide a reasonable doubt. So who has the most common sense perspective here? Obviously, liberals do.
I actually do have a question. Common sense.
Yes, buddy.
If I went around flaunting for years and years to other people on public television that I have, exploited women and that I have walked into women's dressing rooms because I own the pageant, or if I said on public television that I would date a 10-year-old in 10 years and I'm just a known shyster around women and shit like that, would you think with the context of all that maybe I did something like that? Such as rape? Especially if I referred to the said victim, Jean Carroll, as someone who's too ugly to fuck?
Rape, to be clear. He said he wouldn't rape her because he said he wouldn't rape her because he's not his type, but then confused Marla Maples, I think that's her name, right? His ex-wife, with Jean Carroll. So obviously, she was his type. And obviously, a non-rapist wouldn't say they wouldn't rape someone because they think that person's ugly. They would say I wouldn't rape someone because rape is bad.
No, that's probably what that was his choice of words. So you can't
Holy
say
shit.
that.
That's a
No, no,
rapist
I'm saying
mindset.
you can't sit here and say
That's
that.
can you acknowledge?
That's something
Can you
what you
hold
would
on?
say. Maybe
Can you
that's what
but
you would
can
say.
you acknowledge that's a rapist mindset, saying you wouldn't rape someone because they're not your type, which infers you would rape someone if they are your type? Can you acknowledge that's something a rapist would say?
No, not necessarily, because that was just
Wow.
his words of saying,
Wow.
like,
Sorry, hold
I
on.
might say something different, and then he might say, and then you might say something
No,
different. You
if
get
I
it?
say, hold on, if I say I wouldn't rape someone because they're not my type, does that infer I would rape them if they were my type? Yes or no?
No, because it's just words. And
All right,
It's
how
just
about
well,
this common sense?
yes, it's words,
He
but
has
what
a
does that have
name.
anything to do with
Jeremiah,
that?
he has the name common sense. He's got to have common sense with this at least, right?
Okay.
From one brother to another. If I said I don't like Jewish people as much because they're not black, would that make me racist?
that would make it a little bit of prejudice. Yeah.
No, that would make me racist.
What the
All right, how about
fuck?
this? If I said I don't like Hispanic people because they're not black, and because I don't like I don't like black people more, would that make me racist?
That would make you a little bit prejudiced. There's a difference between races and prejudice. Prejudice meaning you don't like a preference because of its color, or
He is
Yeah, that's
literally
racism.
saying
That's
he is
racism.
literally Gavin is literally saying in the hypothetical that he doesn't like Mexicans because of what?
Hispanic people.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm just trying to get him to understand the difference between
Yeah, no.
words,
You need to understand that
races
prejudice
and
is a part of racism. It's a byproduct.
Exactly.
It's an ingredient in racism. Just like eggs and milk are an ingredient in cake, making cake, prejudice is an ingredient in racism.
Yes,
So you can't just say,
exactly.
well, that's just prejudice. No, dog, that's just
It's
racism.
racism, right? Yeah, it's literally racism.
By definition, racism.
But listen, you have failed to provide any reasonable doubt. Okay, so therefore, I've proved that it's beyond a reasonable doubt because of his past character and because of evidence in the case. Right? There's also video evidence or audio evidence of him admitting to sexual exploitation and sexualizing a 10-year-old girl. Why do you support a violent?
Wait. You said it's video or audio evidence of him saying that out of his own words, or
Sexualizing,
someone
yeah,
else said?
sexualizing a 10-year-old girl.
But who said that? Him or
Donald
someone
Trump
else? He didn't say no shit like that.
He
wanna
said
hear
Give me a break.
yeah, play the video. Actually, you should play the video from Jeremiah's.
I will.
Watch how he spins this shit.
Let's see. Just hypothetically, if like a man were to tell a 10-year-old girl that they would be dating them in 10 years, is that sexualizing that 10-year-old?
Or even saying you're attracted to a 10-year-old.
Is that sexualizing that?
No, I think that's inappropriate to say to a 10-year-old.
That sounds like he has an attraction
I
towards a
think
10-year-old, right?
I remember seeing this. I've seen that video actually.
Yeah, okay,
He
so,
was
No,
so
hold on,
you
pause.
agree.
I'm gonna play for the chat because there's like 100 people in total because there's like 30 over on YouTube and like 70 here. So I'm gonna just play it for the chat so the chat can listen what a horrible person this is.
Thursday night. You're going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you?
That is sexualizing a 10-year-old, saying you're gonna be dating a 10-year-old in 10 years.
That's also saying you have attraction towards a 10-year-old.
Right,
Like
literally.
your name is common sense. You should have common sense
Right.
on this.
Yeah, but
Saying that
no,
I
he
want
was-
to
let's
see
use
what
let's use common
Hold on a
sense.
second.
Why would
He
he
was
why would he be dating?
implying-
Hold on. Let's have common sense. Why would he be dating her in 10 years? Because he has an attraction towards her right now, but he wants to wait until it's quote unquote legal. So let's use your common sense as you claim to have. Let's put it to use and acknowledge that that is predatory behavior and that is wrong, and you shouldn't support a violent criminal.
Well, I wouldn't say he's a violent.
He raped someone. He raped a
someone.
woman.
We already went over this. You
There's
couldn't.
no evidence
You,
of that.
but you,
so
yes,
I'm
there
not-
was.
He was
You couldn't.
convicted.
Hold on. You couldn't prove.
That's a civil case.
Hold
so
on,
I
hold
don't-
on. You
Go
could
ahead.
not prove the reasonable doubt. I could prove beyond a reasonable doubt by his past character and evidence in the case. That leads me to believe that it's beyond a reasonable doubt. You could not prove the reasonable doubt. Therefore, liberals are right and MAGAs are wrong whenever they make that claim. So that one's out of the window. So yes, he is quite literally a violent, convicted felon. Why is he a convicted felon? Because a criminal court found him guilty of 34 felonies. Okay, so he is a
You're
violent
mixing
criminal
up
who
civil and
undermines the
criminal.
Constitution.
Civil is just a case that somebody bring up in court, and
I know the difference between a civil and a court.
All right,
and
then.
a criminal
So
case.
civil doesn't have no weight. It doesn't have no weight.
But no,
now,
hold
if he
on.
was criminally found liable for that
Hold
shit,
on, but
yeah,
you-
then that'd be a different story.
In order to be a criminal court case, it needs to be beyond a reasonable doubt. Yes.
Correct.
I proved that the civil case and the evidence presented was beyond a reasonable doubt. You failed. You literally said you do not have any reasonable doubt. You
I
said that
don't.
yourself.
I don't.
Yeah. So therefore, you don't have any reasonable doubt. I have beyond a reason beyond reasonable doubt. I have the
The only thing
requirement that
you
it meets for a criminal
presented
court
today,
case.
the only thing you presented today was that audio, and
Yeah,
that was basically
that
him
audio that
just.
proves that
That's
audio
all
that
you
proves he's a
presented.
predator, and also the court case, right?
Well, the
Also
court
the
case, that was a
you
civil matter, so I just
no,
said
but
that.
evidence in the court case. Any evidence in the court case is going to be evidence that could also be presented in a criminal case as well, right? I.e., witness testimonies, therapist notes, the audio where he says he grabs them by the pussy. Any of those Hollywood access tape, any of those is going to be evidence that proves beyond a reasonable doubt, right? Because you weren't able to prove a reasonable doubt.
He was, by the way, he was using locker room talk. That's
Okay,
called
have you
locker
ever
room
said?
talk.
However, have you ever said you grab women by the pussy without asking?
I never said nothing like that. No, personally, no.
It's not locker room talk. Don't say boys will be boys. Okay, you're contributing to rape culture. Hold men accountable. When people say boys will be boys, that's disgusting. Okay, not every single boy is a P3D. Not every single boy is a rapist. Okay, not every single boy thinks like that. If someone thinks that they can grab women by the vagina without asking, they're a rapist. They have a rapist mentality. Don't say locker room talk. Don't say boys will be boys. Okay, because I'm included in that. You are included in that. So if you say it's locker room talk, if you say boys will be boys, we're included in that. Okay, and I can acknowledge, yes, it's all men until it's no men, but that's not the same as saying boys will be boys, right? Because I'm a man. I've never sexualized a child. I've never raped anyone. I've never used any commentary like that. Have you?
I've never used that commentary. No, I haven't.
So don't say boys will be boys, or don't say it's locker room talk. That makes rape culture more prominent in America, and then that also includes including you, every single person, including you.
No, I think you using
locker room
emotions
talk.
and over facts. The problem is
I'm
whoever
using
he had
emotions
that
over
interview-
fact.
Yeah, the
You
problem he had
refuse
that
a civil
interview
court
with.
case. You refuse
Yeah, no, that
court
civil
cases.
court case is like that. I don't take that serious. That's just bullshit. But
And
if it
you're
was a
saying
criminal-
you're saying I'm appealing to ethos. Really? You're
No, I
saying
said
I'm
you
appealing to emotion.
yeah, emotion. Totally.
What am I appealing to emotion? What have I said that is emotional that isn't in regards?
Because you saying that civil case have any weight? It doesn't have no
Because
weight.
it does.
The lady just wanted some money and she sued him.
The Hollywood access tape where he said he grabs women by the pussy without asking. There was 18 people that unanimously agreed that yes, he did this action. Okay, witness testimonies. The therapist knows there was also DNA evidence that would have proved his innocence if he provided his DNA. It was unidentified male DNA. Guess what? He was given 3 years and he denied. Right? An innocent man would give their DNA to prove their innocence and get it all over with. Because he didn't give his DNA, he had to pay her millions of dollars and have that on his record. Would an innocent man want that? Yes or no?
Wait a second. Give who millions of dollars?
Eugene Carroll. Yes. He owed her millions of dollars. If he was innocent, he could have given his DNA. He would have been found innocent, and he would not have paid $80 million and would not have that on his record. Which innocent man would not give his DNA to prove his innocence and not have to pay millions of dollars and not have the SA charge on his record? Which innocent man would do that? Would you do that?
It's not on his record. That you keep saying
it is. He was held liable. That is on his.
Yeah, but that's
that was on his record.
That civil case.
It's still on his record. He is still known as a rape. Which innocent man would want to pay $82 million to someone who is lying? He could have given his DNA, proven her wrong, and proven his innocence. Which innocent man would do that? Would you do that?
If I know for a fact I haven't done anything, yeah, I would have gave whatever DNA and then I would then
and
did a
any innocent man would do that.
Right. So he probably just didn't want to do it for whatever reason. I don't know.
Because he is guilty. That's why. Because he's guilty. Can you acknowledge that he's guilty?
I'm not going to acknowledge that he's guilty, but I will say that.
What is the reasonable doubt?
You taking a civil case as if it have any type of weight to it.
Okay, a civil case is a preponderance of evidence. A criminal court case is beyond a reasonable doubt. You said you could not prove the reasonable doubt, and I've been able to prove all the evidence in the case that leads me to believe that it is within beyond reasonable doubt. And you have failed to prove the reasonable doubt. So therefore, if it went to a criminal court case, he would be held criminally accountable.
Can you acknowledge that he was framed because he was running for president?
No, he wasn't. No, that's bullshit.
Come on, man.
That is bullshit. How about I play you this real quick? How about I play you an audio we're gonna play an audio because I have to. Someone's knocking at the door. We're gonna play a 2-minute audio here real quick, and then you're gonna listen to it and tell me what you think afterwards. Okay? Chat. Make sure you guys are double tapping that screen.
My daughter is beautiful, Ivanka.
By the way, your daughter, she's beautiful. Can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, I go out with somebody, and she's like 21, and she's talking about, what are you doing? And she's studying algebra.
So what?
And it's like, it was always embarrassing for me to walk in. It's too young. 30 is like a perfect age.
Absolutely. She has enough life experience.
Until she's 35. Too much life experience. What is it at 35, Howard? It's called checkout time.
And you're probably, I would say, the greatest judge of beauty on this planet. In fact, I would create a TV show for you where all you did was just judge women.
Now, that may be the best idea of all.
It's a simple thing. It's a half hour, and we strip it out all over the
I would
country.
say I'm the all-time judge.
You own this pageant. You go over, you're meeting the girls and stuff. One of them comes up to you and says, Mr. Trump, you're a very sexy man.
You're a beautiful man. You have fantastic hair.
Well, you're a powerful man. Right? You're a powerful man.
Right.
I want to sleep with you. Now, you're not the type that would say no.
I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Right. No, but I mean, you see a beautiful woman, you want to have that. You're a guy who likes to have everything. Right.
Well, could that be construed, however, as
Conflict?
yes?
Well, I don't see that as a
It
conflict.
could be a conflict of interest, but it's the kind of thing you worry about later.
Oh, I see.
You tend to think about the conflict a little bit later
The
on.
question is, how can it not be construed?
No, I mean, some of these foreign girls, Mr. Trump, in my country, we say hello with vagina. And
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now, tell
Well,
me
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
Before you talk, I'm gonna make one last point, and then I'll let you respond. Okay, I'm gonna have to get off here soon, but I'll let you. I'll just say what I need to say, and then you can respond. I won't interrupt you. He admitted to sexual exploitation as any actual or attempted abuse of position of power for sexual gratification. He said, as the owner of the pageant, he's able to inspect the place. It's his job. But we know this isn't true because at the end he says he gets away with things like that, and we know that it was sexual because they had no clothes on, and we know it was a woman's only space where men were not around. He said that explicitly himself. Victims came out and said that there was girls as young as 14, 15, and 16 years old. And even people who defended Trump said it was in a dressing room. Okay, so when you came on here and we're talking about crime and how he's decreasing crime, why did you vote for a violent convicted felon who is undermining the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution? He's violated the elections clause on January 6th. Even Mike Pence agreed to this. Mike Pence said, and I quote, Donald Trump asked me to put him over the Constitution. He's violated the elections clause, the taxation clause, the take care clause. He's violated the First Amendment all the way to the 25th Amendment. Okay, he's violated so many laws. He's violated gag orders. He didn't rent to black people in the 1970s, naming them as C for colored. How do you care about crime, but when it comes to Donald Trump, you don't give a fuck about crime? That is TDS at its finest, and feel free to respond.
I just told you for the fifth, sixth time at this point, the civil matter has no weight. Nobody cares. Now, if it was a criminal matter,
Anything
you might
else?
have a valid point.
The clip that you heard, or anything else I just said? Do you want to address anything else?
Locker room talk. That's how, I guess he talk. I don't know. But the problem is, that's not going to, so look, that's not going to stop people from voting Republican.
What about Mike Pence saying Donald Trump asked him to put him over the Constitution? What about that?
He was desperate.
That's a violation of the Constitution.
No, he was desperate at the time. There was some issues.
But it's still a
Where they
violation of the
stopped
Constitution. I think this is hypocrisy at its finest. You say you care about law and order. You say you care about crime, but you don't. That's hypocrisy at its finest.
Absolutely not. No, it's you.
So then, why don't you care about crime when it comes to Trump?
Stick.
Why? Why don't you care about crime when it comes to Trump?
Well, again, he's been held liable civilly, right?
In a criminal court case for 34 felonies as well. A criminal court case. He violated the elections clause on January 6th. He's violated the First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, 10th Amendment, 14th Amendment, possibly the 22nd Amendment, and even the 25th Amendment, right? All of these clauses and amendments of the Constitution. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. He is someone who doesn't care about the law.
He cares about the law. If not, then he would not be sitting at the Oval Office now as we speak. So, yeah, my friend. So, look, it was great talking with you. It was great debate. You're doing a good job. And
He cares about the law, but he's a convicted felon, an adjudicated rapist, and he's violated clauses and amendments of the Constitution. That's insane.